If you like epic owl shots, you should probably watch Legend of the Guardians. But if you don't give a fuck about owls like us, and you like something old school, then maybe you should watch Bone Tomahawk. And that's what we're talking about. Fuck them owls. We're talking about good old violent ass westerns. Hit that music!
Movies, music, story times, all kinds of shit for you. Everything goes in the house and out from
Now, your first experience with the director of Bone Tomahawk was actually Brawl on Cell Blocks 99 with Vince Vaughn, which if you haven't seen, we're probably going to make a video on it eventually. If you haven't seen, it's one of the better movies that came out the year it came out.
It was my favorite movie of that year.
Yeah,
I made a video on it.
It was absolutely fucking awesome, man. Just a great example of how exploitation films can have
good.
substance,
Yeah.
can have meaning. And the thing I love the most about Zoller's movies is that he makes characters that are concrete in their convictions. Whatever those convictions might be, they're set in them, and they're about them. His men come off like men. I don't know, that might sound sexist, but his men come off like men should be, not like some quivering pansy, but they're just about what they're about. You know, Vince Vaughn's character in Brawl was about what he's about, and he was just one of the most, despite where he was in his life, he was admirable for those qualities.
Badass.
Yeah,
you want to be that guy. He was in a horrible situation.
And just like Zoller did right by the exploitation subgenre, here we have him doing something in the Western genre, and this was the movie that kind of made his name. And you know, it's the movie he made before Brawl on Cell Block 99. And, you know, now he's doing the Puppet Master movie, so that's weird.
Yeah, that's super weird.
He's just writing that one, to be fair. But it's clear that the guy understands the genres that he works in. Now, for better or for worse, that's exactly what he exercises here in Bone Tomahawk. Now, the reason I say for better or for worse is because if you're not used to the glacial pacing of old school westerns, then this movie is not for you. Stay the fuck away from it. Don't even watch it. Don't try to watch it, because you won't like it. I sound like a fucking asshole, huh?
No, it's actually,
but it's true.
It's true.
It's true.
Here's the thing, like I think it's been, and I even think you consider it. It's been kind of marketed as like a Western horror movie.
Yeah.
But it's hands down a Western.
Yeah.
There has horror elements, but there's never any like supernatural weird shit in it. It's a Western movie.
It's a horror movie
that just happens to have some horror elements at the end.
Yeah, the reason I consider it a horror movie is because it does have horror elements.
Yeah.
That's by default of it having horror elements. It's the same reason I consider Beetlejuice a horror movie.
Yeah,
it's a comedy, but it has horror elements.
But it is straight up a Western in its structure and the movie it is. It's a Western.
And then by that we don't mean a modern way. We definitely don't mean like Young Guns or some shit like that.
No, we're talking like Wide Earp back in the day when they were like freaking 4 hours long. Not even that, but
no, not even Wide Earp. It's really like old school pre-spaghetti Western pacing, and because of that, its concerns are more with building the characters before the event happens. It reminds me a lot of Open Range, which is a much more modern example.
That's a better example than Wide Earp.
If you want a modern example of the type of pacing this movie has, Open Range with Kevin Costner. It's literally like a 2-hour plus movie that's just building up to this one amazing gunfight. And the rest of the time you're just with characters, understanding them, understanding where they stand, understanding how they work off of each other, etc. And that's what this movie does. And I think that's why this movie is as strong as it is, because you do get a profound understanding of the 4 central characters really that you're with the entire movie. And it all culminates in this very strange twist of events. So if you haven't seen the movie, please go see it. But a brief description of it would be a couple of robbers played by Dave Arquette and Sid Haig, by the way, which
was
weird. Pretty weird. But anyway, a couple of robbers basically come in running away from their deeds, tread on the sacred territory of a lost Indian tribe, and eventually one of them gets killed, one of them ends up in this town, and by default of him just being there brings down the vengeance on this tribe on the townspeople. The Indians then kidnap some of the townspeople, and 4 of the men from the town, including the sheriff and the wife of the the husband of the kidnapped person, go out to search him. search for them. So that's the basic gist of it. It's kind of like the Searchers, or True Grit in a lot of sense in that regard. But yeah, man, the characters are really, like as I said, what makes this picture. And we have Kurt Russell as the sheriff. That alone should sell you on awesomeness. Are there any characters you didn't like in this movie, or conversely, what are those that you did thoroughly enjoy?
I don't think there was anyone I disliked. When I saw David Arquette, I was like, "Oh, is that David Arquette? That's weird."
I will point out one thing about David Arquette's character. I don't know if you noticed this, but at times, these are old Western fucks, so they didn't brush their teeth and shit.
Oh yeah, his teeth were like
In
hideous.
certain shots, he had the fucked up teeth,
And
but
then
in other
white,
shots,
yeah.
they were like perfect.
I did notice that.
Perfect Arquette whites.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, man, everybody's fucking great in this.
I really
cast.
liked the old guy for some reason. I forgot his name. Checkers or some shit like that.
Yeah, the fucking deputy.
Yeah, I don't know why he was one of those characters that you kind of like almost instantly.
Yeah.
And you don't want him to die.
Portrayed the wrong way, he would have been the annoying character.
Yeah.
But again, Zoller has such a way of kind of reworking these character tropes into palatable people, and that's a perfect example. The deputy in a lesser movie would have been an annoying piece of shit.
Yeah.
In this movie, he is one of the ones you cheer for the most, and then
He's just like an old guy that you want to survive.
Yeah. And Kurt Russell as the sheriff is basically the Vince Vaughn of Brawl in Cell Block 99. He's a man of morals and convictions, and has a pretty sound sense of what dignifies justice and savagery and all this. And then you just get a real strong notion of who he is. And likewise, we have Matthew Fox playing kind of like this egotistical asshole character that really has a character arc despite him never changing as a character.
Yeah, that is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, because usually with a character arc, they come to a realization, and then you as the viewer end up liking them.
Yeah.
Here, I ended up liking him, and he was still the same asshole, and that was amazing.
But
man.
they do. I mean, he does say stuff that you're like, oh, he's not a complete asshole.
Mm-hmm.
But he never has that changing point where he's like, I must be nice now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, again, throws out that trope, that idea that we have to have that cathartic moment with a character, and he just gives you hints, peeks behind the veil that there might be more substance to him, and there is, of course, but it's never concretely said. You just, as the audience member, you were like, man, I like that guy.
Yeah.
He has a lot of shit about him that I don't like, but now I understand him. And, so yeah, we spend a lot of time with these characters. I think the one that I was afraid of the most was Patrick Wilson. Now, I love Patrick Wilson. But from the moment he's introduced, he has a broken leg. Yeah. And you just know inherently
it's going to be a problem.
This is going to be a fucking... And boy, howdy, is it a fucking problem. Because though the movie does have these horror aspects at the end, the majority of the movie is...
trekking through the desert, yeah.
So, circumstances arise, shall we say, that make it hard for them before they even get to the really hard part.
Yeah.
And of course, this motherfucker with a little broken ass leg, little broken hoof.
And then he's hanging on, and then he loses cool and swings at the douche, and then he breaks his stanky leg, even worse.
Yeah. And the thing is, sometimes in the movie when that happens, you just hate the person inherently.
Yeah.
There's something about, we experience this in real life. If there's somebody sickly in our family, the inconvenience, you might love the person, but the inconvenience alone makes you detest them. And it's been explored in movies, and we know that is true in real life. Here, I never reached that point.
Yeah.
I understood that he loved his wife, and he was determined.
Yeah, as a character, like you say, you knew where he was at, much like you knew where Kurt Russell was at and all that shit. You're like... He just wants to freaking meet his wife, and he wasn't like trying to be an inconvenience when he was trying to keep up with them.
He was
going the extra mile and shit. And then at the end, he kind of ends up being the hero.
Yeah,
and you're like, what? His freaking stanky legs all broke.
Again, turning the standard idea of what should happen on its head. He did it again with that. He basically is the hero of the movie at the end, the most unexpected person. But we are talking a lot about something at the end that is more horror oriented than anything, and you get a peek of it, you get a hint of it at the beginning when one of the robbers, Sid Haig, is killed and the other runs away, And what did you think at that point? Or I don't know if you were aware of what the
No.
menace was. What did you think at that point? Did you think, what
I
the
thought
fuck am
I thought it was ghouls
I... Just general
because it was
ghouls.
like a black kind of shadowy figure,
Yeah.
and then he was in they were in an Indian, burial ground.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh man, it's gonna be ghouls, isn't it?
Straight up ghouls. Yeah, the first time I saw it, I was like, what the fuck was that? Because it's such a sudden moment.
Yeah.
Upon rewatching, of course, you obviously are aware, so you begin to notice more things. But yeah, it gives you just a hint of what these things are, and then it strings you along for almost 2 hours until the ass end of this picture, where things explode. And spoilers, if you haven't seen the movie yet, we're gonna discuss what the fuck these things are. So go watch the movie, come back. If you don't give a fuck, we're gonna talk about it. For cannibals. But basically, troglodytes to be precise. Basically, this is this is what the Indians of the plains and the hills feared. This is their boogeyman.
Yeah.
This is something so savage that the socially conceived savages, quote unquote, believe is a monstrous thing. And we even get a good way a good scene of exposition with one of the quote civilized Indians that live in town, which I thought was awesome. They bring him in. He's an expert in the tribes and the territory, and he's just unwilling to help because he knows what the fuck it is. And everybody's kind of at odds with him to varying degrees. Kurt Russell is much more accepting and a fair and just man, but certainly that at the time he must have had some opposition to just by the sheer fact that this guy was a native, but he didn't express it. Then we have Matthew Fox's character, who was definitely racist.
Yeah.
But despite that, this fucking dude's like, fuck this shit. I'm not even gonna go there with y'all. I'll help y'all by pointing out where the fuck you can go and die.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically what they end up encountering are a much more rustic and primal version of some Indian.
Basically like inbred cannibals.
Yeah, they're described as inbred cannibals. And
they're pretty weird, man. They're like super. It looked like they were super tall when they're in the cave.
They have grown some sort of or maybe they haven't evolved past the point where they have this kind of vestigial bone sticking out of their throat with which they communicate with like a howling whistle.
Yeah, that was the most like I wouldn't say disturbing, but kind of unsettling part. It was their howl was kind of disturbing, and it's one of those things where like in the movie, I mean they already told you what they are kind of, but when you hear the howls later on, you're like, are they ghouls? Like I don't know. Like I was still like kind of like, how are they doing that? Those hideous, inhuman howls, and then they kind of show the little thing. And you're like, ugh.
And then when you get to see the glimpses of the inner workings of the tribe, they become all the more disturbing. They're a patriarchal tribe to the extreme. Women are just seen as breeders, kept limbless and blind.
That was disturbing.
To just feed their numbers. And of course, as aforementioned, they eat people. So we get some incredibly disturbing violence in this towards the end. That's all there's been really good about this. It's present in Brawl on Cell Blocks 99. But it comes just at the right moment, and it is stark and surprising to watch when it happens. And I think the same effect is reached here, only of course in a different genre, but all the more so because there is a chance to be more visceral here. There's a chance to be more animalistic.
Yeah. Also,
with the kills.
I think the effects were a lot better than they were in Brawl.
Yes.
Brawl. Some of the gore effects aren't good, but the characters are so believable and you're so invested that you forgive the kind of iffy effects.
More importantly, it doesn't rob those scenes.
No, and it actually you get what it's doing, and it's still disturbing. It still reaches what it's going for. It's just effects wise, you're like, okay, I could see the seams there.
Right.
And this one, they're actually really good, which makes them kind of even more disturbing.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man,
they're shockingly good, man. And there's a scene where somebody is bisected in twain, a la Conan the Barbarian, and it looks fucking pretty real, man. And of course, like any good Western, you have the character that sacrifices himself, that is willing to go the extra mile for what he stands for. And again, that goes back to Zoller's other piece in Brawl. Vince Vaughn was that character. Here, like I said earlier, it's Kurt Russell, and he has a send-off that is pretty fucking agonizing. And I think the fact that we don't actually get to see his final defense, or I should say offense, against the cannibals was the right way to go. Did you like that, or did you not? Because I've been reading some people that were like, I wish I could have seen his final standoff with the remaining cannibals.
No, because you get the point.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't think it's... You could argue that it kind of has an little... Maybe he didn't kill the last one or whatever, right? But I think it was going for that relief moment, and then you know, it kind of even shows with the old guy dropping his thing, and you know, kind of the music swelling up a little bit in that bit. You get the point, and it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I thought it was way more effective that way. Plus, at that point, we had seen enough of what was going on in there. And honestly, it was kind of sad to see his character in that condition.
Yeah.
You know, to see him struggle a little bit more just to get that final, you know, period at the end of the sentence would have been a bit too much, maybe.
And the story was basically already complete.
Yeah, definitely. But anyway, the music in this, of course, is very fitting of the type of film that we're going for here. I have no opposition to it. It works wonderfully with the picture. The aesthetics are very old school Western, of course, now in color and, you know, with the amenities of modern technology. So it looks a whole lot better than an old school Western. But they're definitely going for that feel. There's nothing fancy here. There's no clever fucking camera work and lighting. It's just a fucking desert. Nature against you, you know, everything looks dirty. You know, the first time I watched this, I noticed one thing, and this usually kind of bothers me, and but I saw as the movie progressed that changed, and that was that the characters looked too clean.
Yeah.
But upon this rewatch, and don't get me wrong, it didn't bother me. I said it usually bothers me in movies. The movie was so fantastic that it just didn't bother me. But upon this rewatching, I noticed that certain characters were too clean, and they were the ones that eventually went on this trek. It was almost like this town was too much of a safe haven until this thing came to them, because Arquette wasn't clean. You know, he was all dirty and shit. But
he's kept changing.
Yeah, he's this dirtiness that came into this town, and he brought this filth there. And when they go and trek into the wilderness, they, of course, increasingly get dirty themselves. So, I actually saw that. Intentional or not, I thought it worked. But anyway, that's just a little nitpick that I noticed the first time. As we said, the effects in this are great. The action, again, this is not an action movie.
No.
But when the action explodes, it's pretty realistic and gruesome at times. So it's just that, you know, cherry on top of the sundae of something you've already enjoyed. Anyway, any final thoughts, and give me your final score on this movie, 1 through 10. Hit me with it.
I thought it was pretty great, but it's definitely not for everyone, especially because of the horror attachment it has. It's going to bring in a lot of fools.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this movie get a lot of hate in that shitty Facebook group.
You gotta stop with this Facebook.
It's so bad, dude. I can't
ever.
leave it. They freaking like garbage and freaking shit on everything cool. But don't watch this movie as a horror movie. Watch it as a Western.
Yeah. And
you'll be in the right freaking mind grapes to watch it. I really liked it. I actually liked it more than I thought I was gonna, and I already was expecting to like it because of Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Russell kicks ass. I kind of want him in more Westerns.
Yeah, definitely.
He should keep that mustache at all times.
He needs to bring Goldie Hawn as his like leather pouch that he keeps shit in.
It's his assless chaps. I think it's pretty damn great. I'll give it a 9.5.
Yeah, man.
I don't even know why I'm not even giving it the final 5. I'm just being a little stingy for some reason.
Yeah, man. This is one of my favorite Westerns ever. Definitely making it into my top 5 Westerns. The moment I saw it, I was like, this is my top 5 Westerns, period. I don't give a fuck. It's got a duel with any other upcoming Western contenders. But I absolutely love this movie. Again, like you said, just to reiterate, it's not for everybody. If you don't have an attention span, don't fucking watch this movie.
If you don't like Westerns, don't watch this movie.
If you don't like Westerns, don't watch this movie. If you're expecting too much of one thing or the other, don't watch this movie either. You know, the best way to watch this movie is if you like westerns, of course, you'll definitely probably like this. But if you're just a cinephile that likes good pictures, this is definitely a good picture. So, you know, go into this with a blank slate and you should be good if you're a cinephile. But anyway, we definitely are fucking cinephiles. I'm going to give this a fucking 9.5 like you. Again, I don't know what the fuck. Maybe I'm just hopeful that his next movie will be even better because so far he hasn't let me down.
Puppet Master, though.
I mean, to be fair, he just wrote that one. But anyway, the point is, check this movie out. If it's your bag, if you suspect it'll be your bag, this is definitely a cult classic already and should remain so and should grow in cult status, I hope. And
there was one troglodyte who was severely out of shape and had a tiny butt. Reminded me of you.
Yeah, I got the tiny butt syndrome.
You got the hand kill, but
that's all I got out of this movie. Anyway, check Bone Tomahawk out. Tell us what you think about it if you've already seen it or when you see it. Hit like, share, subscribe, and those notification buttons because we are definitely out like an owl in Legends of Man. I don't want to see Legends of Guardian, man.
The trailer
Was woo.
Anyway,
yeah.
Movies, music, story times, all kinds of shit for you. Anything goes inside the night, woke up with corpulent Jews. Movies, music, story times, all kinds of shit for you.